Fans, welcome back to another edition of Caglianone's Corner. I'm joined by head coach Lenny Caglianone. Now, Lenny, it's been a rough few weekends for the team. We wrapped up our series with New Jersey. From your point, I know something you mentioned was you felt that our systems were pretty correct going into that weekend. Do you still feel the same about that?
Yeah. In the sense of our systematic approach, I thought we were pretty clear on what we wanted as a staff, and I think sometimes it's the immaturity factor, it's the inexperience factor that when you're at this chunk of the season, right, where, hey, listen, the games are harder, the practices are shorter, right, the investment has to be, higher. We don't have guys who have gone through that. Majority of the guys that haven't gone through that, so. Going into some of these games, it's, you waver off mentally and emotionally, and I think that's what we did at certain times, right? I think we wavered off of our system approach and kind of what our game plan was. I think we panicked a little bit, went back to our bad habits, and it showed. But for a majority of the games, like I do believe we did have a pretty good foundation. But again, go back, look at the film, look at some of the breakdowns. It's the bad habits that start to come out when panic sets in. And that comes with experience and maturity.
And kind of to double back, going into the beginning of the season, even preseason, we took down Jersey twice. I know that was a very different roster on both ends, and we couldn't sneak a win out this season from them. For you, what do you think changed over time? I know roster is a factor, and even just different approaches is a factor, but on your end, what do you think changed?
I think it's pretty obvious. I mean, the guy who was at the helm before before that whole change happened. Mm-hmm. Craig is a super unique human being. He's very structured, very detailed, and it takes time for guys to acclimate to that because the demand is so high, and he puts a lot of work in. And then I think George being behind the bench now it's a different style, it's a different flavor, more loose, less structured. So. He just so happens to have that group that is super, super talented, right? And to inherit that from off the back of Craig, all the hard work that was put in there to acquire some of that talent. Maybe they do just adapt more so to unstructured, free-flowing hockey. I don't think it's anything that is monumentally changed in regards to personnel or anything like that within that room. I just think it's guys who are playing kind of. Hockey where they're able and enabled to do whatever they see fit, and that's a big gamble for some teams. It works. For some teams it doesn't, and you have 5 guys on 5 different pages, but it seems that they thrive in that chaos. So listen, I tip my cap to them. I've said it numerous times this year. New Jersey has exceptional and unique individual talent. Very, very good individual hockey players on that team.
Now, these next 2 weeks, especially this weekend with our final season series against the Rochester Junior Americans, it's pretty important as you're getting into that playoff push again. New Hampshire took a win over Northeast this past Tuesday, which put us 7 points out of that 6th seed spot. For you, we need at least to split, right, in these next 2 weeks, or what's now going to be that kind of mindset?
Yeah, I mean it's we've checked all the boxes and covered all the bases in regards to the conversations that we had, right? About, hey, listen, this is it, this is where we are. It gets to a point where now this is where you see the growth of a human, right? The growth of a group. Are you guys capable of understanding the gravity and the magnitude of what we're going into for the next 120 minutes? Or is this merely just us disassociating from the fact that this is too hard for us? We don't want to deal with the undertaking of an extremely hard task of getting into the playoffs. Do we want things easy? And I think that's kind of the mindset that we fell on, right? Like we went on a really hot return from break, right? We were great, really, really good. And now it's like we just think that, hey, that's auto. Do we think this weekend is going to be auto? Have we learned our lesson for the past 2 weekends? My feet aren't in that room. There's not a helmet on my head or gloves on my hand. I'm the guy who wears a suit and tie behind the bench. I can merely control what's said and what's implemented, and try to foster relationships with guys who I feel are starting to veer away from the path. But it's up to them. You know, they're more than well equipped systematically and intangible wise to go out there and secure points. It's how capable we are of applying the things that we talk about. So, hey, listen, it's up to them. You know, everybody's a little frustrated right now, but you look at the digestion period of kind of understanding what has gone on for the past 2 weekends. It's up to the players. You know, it's up to, do they respect each other, let alone themselves, to go out there and get back in the fight? Or are you just going to sit there and take it? I'm not a sit there and take it type of person. But again, I don't play hockey anymore. I just coach. So who knows?
Well said. And fans, you can catch the Hat Tricks back at home this weekend against Rochester on Friday, February 28th, and Saturday, March 1st. Both matinee matchups starting at 3:30 on Friday and 3 o'clock on Saturday. If you can't make it, you can stream both those games on NATV. And Lenny, thank you for your time today.
Yeah, thank you. And before I go, just a big shout out to Bellrica Engine 3 in Massachusetts, and Joe Ferry. He's been putting in the work there. Really, really good guy. Good group of guys there, and always got to show love for the firefighters. So appreciate it.
100%.